Good morning, afternoon or evening wherever you are. I'm Paul Clark and welcome to be honest, I've got no idea where we are. How did I get here? It's all very odd. Anyway, today we're going to be having a look at painting this little haunted house. So what's happening? Okay, materials for today. My paper is some Bockingford Rough. My brushes are a large mop, 3/4 inch flat, number 12, a number 8 round, and a number 3 rigger. The paints today, nice and simple, just 4 colours: cadmium yellow, yellow ochre, Prussian blue, and Payne's grey. Okay, the drawing part is a little tricky, so as always, you can download a drawing template from my website. Right, off we go with a large mop. Now I'm totally wetting the paper. Let it soak in for a moment, then with some cadmium yellow, and then a little yellow ochre using my flat brush. Then straight in with some Prussian blue. Now it'll mix a little with the yellow and you'll get this sort of greenish tint, but that's absolutely fine. And using a damp brush just to lift out some of the highlights here. Now a nice dark mix of Payne's grey for these foreboding clouds and some dark shadows. Okay, with a dry brush here again, I'm lifting out the colour in the house. And dropping back in that yellow that we've lost. Now here I'm simply lifting out colour with a tissue, and that just saves using that smelly masking fluid. Now when it's dry, you may find that you have to rediscover some of the pencil lines that you've lost a little bit in the murk, so we can just put those back in. Next, I'm lightly spraying with clean water and using various mixes of Prussian blue and Payne's grey for these distant trees. And then dropping in some clean water to soften some of the edges. And then continuing with these 2 colours to build up the layers or glazes. As always, try not to labour too long with each brushstroke. It always looks less contrived if you can be as free-flowing as possible. It's the Splat Wizard today, just flicking in some Payne's grey texture. Now it's time to let this totally dry, so it's a great time to stop for a short break and a glass of Hobgoblin Ale. Okay, so let's start on the house. I'm just using some Payne's grey here. Now I'm still also using my number 12 brush for this, but if you feel more comfortable, you can use a smaller brush. So I'm just continuing with these darker values on the shadow side of the steps. Now it's time for some directional splats to give some texture to the stone in the steps and the wall. Back to the house and a little bit of cadmium yellow reflecting off the roof, and then adding in a little bit of warmth here and there. Now, when the house is fully dry, I'm going in with a very strong Payne's grey for the shadow side using my number 8 brush. Now for the trees, and I'm giving them a bit of a sort of wobble here, which helps to give them more of a, I don't know, scary feel. And then a rigger for some of the finer branches. Just a few shadow details on the gravestones here. And then I'm using a very strong dark here to give some high contrasts. Now let's get some details in the wall. Okay, back with the Prussian blue for this suggestion of some bushes and little bits of gorse here and there. Now what I'm doing here is just beginning to layer the washes to give some more definition. And I'm just simply bringing up the detail with those darker values. And here my usual trick of blending and softening with a slightly damp tissue. Now with my rigger and some very strong Payne's grey, I'm painting in the details. And as always I mention, try to keep your line work nice and loose and wobbly, and don't try to outline everything like a cartoon. Just leave lots of gaps and keep that brush moving quickly. Okay, just a little bit of perspective to think about here. The gaps between the railings will get closer as we move further away. Yes, I think we need a swarm of ravens here. Sound effects, please. Okay, so they're seagulls, but it's the closest I could find. Now here's my latest purchase. A lovely set of pastel pencils by Faber-Castell. And I'm picking out a mid-grey here and drawing in a few details. And now, with a light yellow, some lights in the windows, and some warm moonlight highlights. A few more sound effects, please. Okay, enough now. Too much, too much. Just a tiny bit of fiddling with the detail in the windows, and as always in danger of overworking it. So let's call it done, shall we? Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Just a little bit of fun. So please have a go, and don't forget to do all the normal things like, subscribe, leave a comment, and see you all again next week. Happy Halloween.